Hi, this is Jeff with the INTJ equation, and by viewer request, I will be doing a video on SE, Extraverted Sensing. First, before I get started, I would just like to remind you to like, share, and subscribe to this content if you find it helpful, and check out the other videos and podcast on this channel. Also, leave a comment below. Tell me what you like, what you don't like, if I left something out, if you would like to add something. And also, there's a Discord channel. If you'd like to join that, go ahead and click in the description, and the link is down below. And also add me on social media where you can find the links as well. So what is SE, Extroverted Sensing, exactly? It is really about being in the present moment, responding to the here and now, not really thinking about the future or even really the past at the present moment about what's happening now. It's about living life to the fullest. People with high SE heroes like ESFPs, ESTPs are really concentrated on the here and now. They're probably the most charismatic. SE is probably the most charismatic function of them all. Especially ESTPs can be very charismatic. They are the stereotypical lady killers, if you want to call them that, the ladies' man. ESFPs are just they just project how they feel in the moment and kind of are seen like as innocent, and people generally just love ESPs altogether, but there definitely are some downsides which I'll get to later. They're about shared experiences, making other people feel good, making other people comfortable, having fun, that sort of thing, showing people a good time. They're highly mechanic. They have high mechanic aptitude. They're very good at using their hands. They're the carpenters and the builders, roofers, mechanics, that sort of thing. They're often make good first responders. They will jump on the front line and just react. So, they're definitely out there protecting people and saving lives. Make good soldiers. I'm sure a lot of the warriors in the past, athletes, that sort of thing. It's very just about being in the moment and not thinking about the future, not thinking about the past. Also had a request how it works with as an auxiliary function as SC parents. So that would be ISTPs, ISFPs. The parent function, the mother-father function, as John Beebe called it, is how the person acts responsibly. It's kind of like the last function to evolve. Like an ISFP, for instance, they might use their SE in a responsive way for creating their art. So that might not be something they develop later on. Or an ISTP, like for instance, one of the places I go to judo, there's an ISTP who teaches a class there, had their INFJ or ENFJ subconscious, so they really light up when they're teaching their craft. They usually like to work alone and introverted when they're working alone, but once they're mentoring a bunch of people, like a group, like a martial arts class, that's kind of when they light up. So they use their SE and they teach it responsibly. Like an ISFP, they will use their art responsibly, and they express themselves through their art in a responsible manner, and they ideally, most of them would like to make a business around it, sell their art. It could be musicians. It could be a lot of different things. I've even seen a lot of ISFPs in judo. There's some good judo with ISFP. It's really high up there. Martial arts is about being in the moment, so they're included as well. To talk a little about the child function, SE child, ENTJs, ENFJs, they are very childish about the experiences they give. They love throwing parties. I just did a podcast that I'm going to release Friday. This will probably come out the Monday afterwards with a guy named Drew, and he's just talking about how they started a bed and breakfast and how they just love giving people a good time, making people comfortable at their bed and breakfast, which was unfortunately ended by COVID. His wife's also an ENFJ, another SE child, and she has her own podcast, and they're always helping people, and she's like empowers women and that sort of thing. So what are some good things about Extroverted Sensing SE? Like I mentioned before, it's all about being in the moment. So the first responders, the soldiers, the police, if you're really into the police. I know there's a lot of animosity towards police right now, and I'm not always their biggest fan, but there are definitely some good ones out there, and there's a handful of bad ones that give the good ones a name. Like I saw the other day, there was I don't know, I have no clue what type he was, but a highway patrolman in Arizona. He was helping somebody change a flat tire on the interstate, so that's very cool, I think, just doing things like that. They're able to, like this house I'm in, I'm pretty sure it was built by artisans, SPs, ESFPs, ESTPs. They're, great at creating things. So, without these structures to live in, without cars to build on, to work on and stuff, we wouldn't have that sort of thing. They kind of are, they help you. Like my ESFPX, I kind of rely on her to kind of develop my SE, to kind of get me out of my head with my NI. I'm always like planning, and I just get stalled because I don't know when to take action, because I don't know when it's going to work, because my NI wants to find the perfect path forward. Your SE kind of slaps you in the face and says, well, just try something, and if it fails, and just learn from it, man, try something else. That's why INTJs are movement types rather than control. They're very fun-loving and easygoing. They lighten up the room, lighten up parties. Kind of something INTJs don't particularly care about all that often, but like I said, it's the most charismatic of the functions. They make great comedians, actors, performers in that sense, dancers. People love high SE users. What is bad about SE? They're very impulsive. High SE users, including like INTJs with Se Inferior, they could be insanely impulsive, insanely prone to addiction. There's so many, like ESTPs and ESFPs are probably the least likely types to grow, to develop. They just want to have fun all the time, and they get nostalgic with their SI opposing personality, their SI nemesis, and they think like the future or will never be as best as the past, and they dwell on the past. Like I have an ESTP friend who had a podcast that got shut down because of bullying reasons or something like that. It's kind of lame, I think. Shouldn't censor stuff like that. But he just sat there and got drunk and just dwelled on the past, like when he was going out and getting into fights, got high on cocaine and his alcohol and got into fights. Or I used to kind of hang out and go party with him when I was younger, when I was, trying to be a censor, like I think a lot of the stages INTJs go through. And just talked about the stories over and over and over again. I don't know if you're familiar with stand-up comedy, but there's Joey Diaz, who's an ESTP, and his podcast is a similar experience, The Church of What's Happening Now. I haven't listened to that podcast in a long time. He's a very hilarious guy, but keep hearing him repeat the same stories over and over again just because he's so far in his shadow. They're very quick to anger. They're very impatient. High SE users are impatient, especially SE inferior INTJs. Like if you piss an SE user off, you be prepared to fight. They'll probably fight you. They're the most likely to fight you. They really lack foresight. They don't care to look in the future, especially SE heroes like ESTPs, ESFPs. They have the highest common, they're the most common type in prisons. They're the most common type in criminals. Like my uncle has an ESFP friend, and he was just sitting there telling me like how he got on a bike and he went and robbed one place by gunpoint. Then he got on his bike and robbed another place at gunpoint. He did like 3 or 4 places, and he got like $11,000. He had so much fun spending it, but he went to prison. And now he lives in a van on the side of the river. So they really don't think about the future, and they're kind of worried about their own personal future. So that's something that high SE users, SE heroes have to develop, but don't always choose to. And they can also be too concrete. I mean, they're good about like I'll get too abstract sometimes, think too much about the future, think too much about possibilities, and SE users will kind of ground me. But they don't want to see the future and see the possibilities. They just kind of like the here and now, like what's in front of me. Like, oh, here's a desk in front of me. But, like an abstract person will think, like, what are the possibilities I would use for this desk, for instance. But they just kind of see what's here and now. We kind of think about what if. They do have really bad long-term memory. They tend to forget things very quickly. SE is kind of designed just to respond in a moment, to fix the car, to get the kid out of the burning building, that sort of thing. So they're just kind of like looking right here and now. They don't always remember things very well. And they can be very closed-minded. It just goes back to the lack of abstraction that they have. They don't see other possibilities, so they just kind of see what the here and now is. And they kind of just go with that and don't really consider stuff. INTJs, INFJs, they both have Se Inferior. It is kind of what we're afraid of. We're very afraid of looking bad, sounding stupid, looking stupid, smelling bad. It keeps us from acting in the present moment. We kind of have this giant world inside of our heads. And we get stuck in analysis paralysis because we want the best path forward, but we don't know what the best path forward is always until we try things. So SE will kind of bring us back into reality and make us try things. So I know like when I was a kid, this is pretty common with a lot of turbulent INTJs, and I can't speak so much for INFJs, but I'm sure I always had this thing where I thought there was this one good thing that I was going to be good at without any practice or anything, but that's, just 100% false. Like I was going to be the Michael Jordan of whatever random thing. So I would just try all these things like once. I think that's a lot of any nemesis, any opposing personality, which I'll get into later, probably ties into that a lot. I think the SE Inferior, any nemesis bounce off each other a lot. But anyways, I thought I would just try one thing and I'd be really good at it. So I just tried and I wouldn't practice and I would just get really frustrated. Like SE Inferiors, INTJs, INFJs, they have very little patience and they get angry very easily. We kind of have this stereotype that we're always cool and calm, but that's not always true. We get very agitated by small things. So you can definitely see some examples of like how an INTJ can aspire to be more of an ESFP, get in their dual side of their mind through my Paris Hilton Nicole Richie video, which I'll link below. They can be very insecure, get stuck in analysis paralysis, afraid to take action. Like personal ways I get over my SE Inferiors, doing this channel, get in front of a camera wasn't the easiest thing for me. And talking. Also, like I mentioned, I do judo. That's a very SE-driven sport. And just practice it being in a moment. And once INTJs and INFJs, INTJs more so probably, we can learn any skill and get good at skills very quickly. So once you get over your SE Inferior, you can definitely improve vastly and master subjects really quick. Well, thank you for watching this video on SE. Please like, share, subscribe. Liking really helps get the message out there. It puts it in people's algorithms and feeds so people kind of see this as they're scrolling through their feeds, and hopefully more people will watch it as more people like it. Leave a comment below. Did I leave something out? Is there something else you'd like to hear? Something that you disagree with me on? Something I could do better? Something I'm doing good? And join my Discord server. The link will be down below also. And check out my other videos and add me on social media. You can send me a message there. You can send me a message here. Send me a message on Discord. It's probably where I'm most accessible. Thank you for going beyond the clickbait. Have a great day.